Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lotus D channel. That's me. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for those of you who have just joined recently. I had two new subscribers in the last week, and I was like, I've been on vacation. Where'd they come from? Well, I did couple little plugs here and there, and it really does pay off to be able to go across social media and put your name out there. I'm going to try my best to continue doing such because there are a couple people, I should say it's more than a couple, might be a couple thousand people that are not aware that I'm out here. I know there's so many of us on YouTube, and so sometimes it makes you think, what makes her different? Well, I can tell you this one part, and that's all I can really say. I'm authentically myself. I'm not trying to be anybody outside here. I'm doing it from my own, next to my in my bedroom. So I'm not at a studio. Let me tell you how it's done. I've never done this before. I put all the stuff together myself, even my website. So I am brand spanking new, and I am doing my best with the guidance and the assistant of the God above, the Almighty Himself. That's the only way I can get through this. Because let me tell you, it's rough out here on these streets. Okay, street, street. Um, but aside from that, I really wanted to say thank you to those who just recently subscribed, and thank you to those who have been on here with me, as well as those who are viewing my pages and just checking me out and seeing what they think. I appreciate it. I really do. So hopefully we'll keep this party going, and at the same time, you all will continue to see who is Lotus D and what is she about. And always remember, there are videos on my site, on my page, on my channel that tell you who I am from the get go. But the more you get to listen to me, wink, wink, the more you'll find out who I am and what I really believe in. And the one thing, aside the fact of being authentically myself, is that I hope each and every one of you come with that same type of spirit or the same type of feeling that you too can learn something for the day or just sit and we'll just chat it out and talk about some of the things that make life well worth living. Because unfortunately, in the time and age that we live in, a lot of things make us not happy to be here. So let's find reasons to keep ourselves in a right up and up motion and definitely geared up and pumped up to live every day, whether it has good, bad, and some unfortunately indifferent. We definitely want to make that difference in our day, and it affects everybody else, right? Everybody else. So we've been talking about communication. So I want to get back to that because I promised you guys that I was going to bring you some more information in regards to communication itself and what it really truly does do to a relationship. There's good, there's bad, and there's indifferent, right? So there's opportunities throughout. But let's talk about communication. And I think it makes a difference discussing this because a lot of times people are like, well, I get told that I'm aggressive all the time. Well, let me tell you why you're told. If you're told you're aggressive, hopefully, it's because they're speaking to the communication part. And that's the part that I think people miss. Being aggressive is totally opposite of being assertive. Assertive is being clear and respectful. Aggressive means you don't really care what that person has to say. Now, there comes a time when you may have that little bit of aggression because it's more so passive aggressive. You want to say what you want to say, but and you don't really care what they got to say, but at the same time, it gets confusing because you're like, okay, does she want to hear what I got to say or does she not want to? And then when you go there and you say, I really don't, you probably because you've already been listening to them the whole time, trying to be assertive, and they have not been listening to you. So who's the aggressor there? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So please, please, please understand that when someone says you're being aggressive, a lot of time they're the one doing it because they really don't want to hear you at all. Now, if you're doing that, it's totally different. I just want to say that I want to put it out there because I get people asking me all the time, I'm so tired of somebody telling me I have an aggressive personality. Aggressive personality, totally different than aggressive communication. If you have aggressive personality and you're continuously hearing this from people who know you, that's one thing. When you're doing it and you're communicating with somebody and they don't know you from Adam or anybody else, an apple to an orange, then perhaps you may want to look deeper within yourself. This is all about self-reflecting over here. This channel is all about that. Yeah. So if you don't want to listen to that and you don't want to hear that or you don't want to face your demons or your skeletons that are in your closet, wrong channel. I'm here to make sure that we face the truth because when we have to and we live in reality, we're able to do so much more, not just for ourselves, not just for our family, but for our friends and for others that we don't even know. There's been times when people said, "Thank you for your smile." I'm like, I was smiling. I'm glad my smile made your day because, hey, that's all I can do. You know what I mean? There's days that I don't have a smile going and somebody else has it, and I'm like, thank goodness. Because I didn't know how I was going to get through the day. But that person, that stranger, that waved or just opened the door for me or in line said, "You go ahead, you've got less groceries than me," made my day. I know that sounds simple, but there's a lot of things that we take for granted, people. And on this channel, I hopefully can remind you of what it is that we take for granted and how much more we can value our life and get to know ourselves even more so through others, but also because we need to. It's the only thing that's going to sustain us through the rest of this world and through the life we got right now. Whoa, there's every time I wake up, I'm like, something new. Oh, what's going on? So I know you guys are feeling the same thing, right? It's a lot of stress around us, lots of stress. So we got to figure that out. We got to find that out, and together we're gonna get that accomplished. All right. So the other thing we said assertive, we talked about aggressive, and there's passive, which is avoiding communication altogether. I'm sorry, and don't mean to giggle, but or smirk. I've done this before. Let me tell you how I did it. I didn't answer the phone call. Now, friends of mine that are listening right now, please do not think that I'm doing this with your phone call. Sometimes I'm probably in the other room. Sometimes I got my phone hooked up. It can be a lot of different things, but there are times when I too need my moment to be by myself, and therefore I may not pick up the phone. So that's a different type of communication. That's none whatsoever. We're talking about passive communication, like I see you coming and I'm running the other way, or I see you coming and I'm just mhm. And you're like, well, I didn't ask for their opinion, but I was hoping for their opinion because I don't know, they just don't care what I have to say. So from there, you stop telling them things and they start wondering, what happened? Do they not like me anymore? Am I not their friend? And you're like, oh, give me a break. Last week I came to you and you sit up there and looked at me like I had two heads, literally. And you wish that and maybe you were in a bad mood. So again, guys, remember when you go to somebody and you're communicating, you got to check in. You got to read the audience. You got to know who's around you and if your friend is ready to hear what you have to say, especially if it's something that can be sad, it can depress them, if you will, or make them feel empathy to a certain degree of the fact that, or sympathy, depending on what it is. Uh, I like it because my friends are going, "How you doing today?" I get on the phone. I mean, usually I'm like, "Hey," but sometimes I'm like, "Hey." It might be because it just woke me up. Took a nap. I love my adult nappings. Okay, I like them throughout the day. Don't shame me, but I do. I think it helps me. Um, you know. But anyway, that's too much information. Okay, got it. Then there's passive aggressive, right? So combining often through like, you know, subtle sabotage. They're like, "Oh, you had a great day. Really?" And you're like, "That's not what I heard." You're like, "Oh, okay." Then you leave them feeling frustrated and confused because you're like, again, going back to that friend thing, is like, I just came to you to communicate. You're my office buddy. Now all of a sudden, just because you're having a bad day, you want me to have one too? That's when you go in again. You look and make sure that your audience it's you gotta read the room. You gotta read the room. If you can't read the room, read the tone on the phone. You just got to. Because when you don't, they're like, and you gotta ask. Don't think because you call they were available for you. It's my dating life. Not gonna go there today. But they would, and you're like, I can't talk right now. Oh, sometimes when it happens, I just don't pick up the phone because I can't talk right now. So again, Think of those things. There's other styles. So those are the top four, right, that we talked about already. But I just wanted to shoot through them again because I know some of you on here have not probably listened to that, and some of you have. So sorry. But I also wanted to give a different perspective when I talked about or spoke of those styles. Then, of course, there's the manipulation. I don't know why that word had gave me it's a tongue twister for some reason for a minute. So this is, of course, someone who wants to tell you about influence you in one way and control you to the way of them getting some type of, I don't know, I guess you could call it a personal gain of some sort. So then there's submissive, which is very similar to passive, such as giving others, oh yeah, whatever you say sounds great. Does it really? I just said that. Okay. You meet their demands, you suppress your own, and then when you finally show them who you really are, they don't know you, which again goes back to that confusion period. Okay. And then there's always other forms of communicating. There's written, there's visual. Of course, that's more so geared towards work. But, we have to understand the difference. It's so imperative that we understand the styles because they really affect our personal life and they also affect our personal growth and they affect our workplace. I mean, all those styles really are significant into making us be able to be better communicators. And at the same time, it helps us to also, excuse me, recognize when we too have a certain style. I mean, I used to ask my team all the time as a leader, I would say, okay, so how do you like to be you like direct criticism? Do you prefer or critiquing, if you will, or do you like to hear it straight up, or do you like to hear it, sideways, meaning, maybe soften it up the blow? How do you prefer feedback is really the best word to use. But then there's also communication. You know, would you prefer that, I talk to you in a tone that, we're alone and we have our one-on-ones. And I think that's why it's so important to understand leadership. Because when you lead people, um, and in my case, manage people in a culture environment, you want to make sure that that person is so aware of your style. Because I've had times when I was my beginning of being a leader, let me just tell you, people were like, is she in a good mood? And I was like, what? And the reason why they said that was because I was very direct. It wasn't because I was in a bad mood, but that's what confused them. They were like, "She she being which one is it?" So I had to not change me, but just be more aware of how I came across. The tone, my face. My face smiles a lot right on here. I'm like, smiling, hey. Back in the day, it was stoked. It was like, so how's it going? Going good? Wonderful. Because I can and I don't wanna make excuses. So, we'll talk about it because that's the next thing we're gonna talk about. Hello, leadership. That is one of my fun things to discuss because you know what? It's one of the things that helped me grow into the person I am today and also decide that coaching was my thing. So, anyway, it has been a pleasure, as always, having a chat with you guys. I did do almost 14 minutes. What you gonna do? What can I say? 15 is my limit. I'm trying to make 15 my limit. Some of y'all are looking at me right now going, D, you've done 20 minutes before. As a matter of fact, I've done probably 22. But we're gonna keep it short and sweet, or we're gonna keep it to the point. That's what I really want to do with you guys. I know your lives you got so much going on, and just taking time to even just sit with me for a minute and unwind means everything to me. So again, thank you. Already you know the topic for tomorrow is leadership. And I'm not gonna come to you with, oh, this is what a leader should do, and this is how a leader. We're gonna go through some serious situations, and hopefully it helps benefit you. Um, and hopefully it'll bring out some of that little bit of heart that makes you want to do what? Like and subscribe. All right, guys. Have a great one. Again, thank you very much. Don't let your light go dim for anyone else because guess what? I need all the light barriers around me. We're in some dark places right now, guys, and it's going to be all about us lighting it up this world. Bye.